Just waiting for a couple of moments just to check what was going on. This is going to be game number 1 of Cure versus Time. Also from the round of 8 in the winners bracket. It's the first match of both of them here today. As it looks as though both players wanting to Reaper expand. A little bit of a block there from Cure for a moment or two. Just going to delay that CC by a few seconds. Which is just a little bit of a nuisance, of course. Radicus911, thank you very much for the $1 donation. He says, I just finished my pizza. You can have the crust. Thank you very much, dude. Appreciate it. Thank you for the $1. Thank you very much. Can we get some more STR hearts in the chat, please, for Radicus? Share the love, guys. Again, appreciate the donations. Of course, if you are watching the stream, guys, and enjoying, don't forget there's a lot of different ways you can support. You can hit the follow button. You can subscribe. You can donate directly. There's the Patreon page as well. You can find links for everything below the stream. And if you're... yeah, so check those out if you're enjoying. We've got a sub-tournament coming up tomorrow, so get yourself signed up for that as well if you want to play in that, and stuff like that if you're a sub or recent donator. Alright, so, as we kick things off into this first game of Cure versus Time, TvT action here. We just wait to see how exactly this is going to be going. A few people asking who Time is. Time is a Chinese player, so he actually advanced over Hydra in the group stages to get into the playoffs here. And so he was playing pretty well, and he's been playing pretty well a lot lately. He got 3rd place, or 4th place actually, in the Dojo Star Masters monthly finals the other day after losing out to Scarlet in the 3rd place match. I believe he also lost out to Bjorn in the semi-finals. Not really much kind of doubt about there, but actually 2 Reapers already from Cure, getting quite a lot done. Hellion is popping out in a moment though from Time, so he's lost a few units, but actually he's going to lose 2 SCVs without the Hellions, and the Reapers get away. Oh man, that's brutal. So Reapers get away there. Just about, and nice grenades to try and keep it alive. 1 Reaper goes down. Still good damage though by Kia to start things off. So yeah, basically Time is a very good player, has been impressing us lately, and has been looking very convincing, so good to see him kind of doing well. And Scarlett actually said that she thinks he's one of the better Terran players outside of Korea right now, so he's so yeah, just interesting to know that this is, someone who is considered as a very strong player. Anyways, to talk about this game a little bit, it has been both players actually going up to a fairly fast third command center. Third command center coming up very quickly from Cure at least. In fact, no free CC just yet, although both players are on the 1-1-1 setup. So, a couple of kind of different openings here to get us started, as we're going to see that Viking and Cyclone just on the way up right now out of Cure. We've seen a Liberator on the way right now from Time. I'm not sure how much that's really going to do. With a Viking and a Cyclone on the map, it shouldn't really pick up too many kills at all. So hopefully it doesn't get too much done here. It really shouldn't. Both players are sort of openings are slightly differently, in like the similar way, but with slightly different sort of unit setups and so on. And again, that speed of the 3rd command center from Cure is really nice, because now he's actually fairly even in army. He's got enough to defend, and he's just up a command center in general. So Cure is already very far ahead right from the start of this game, as we're going to see this Liberator coming in. But I mean, literally, what are you meant to do? Siege up and kill off a Marine or 2? That's not really that effective, and the Marines can move away as well. They should move away. And the thing is, you're forcing the Liberator siege up so far away that now you have time to get your Viking, your Cyclone in position. You're going to be ready to defend this very easily. So Cure is defending this Liberator very, very easily so far. As we're just going to be seeing the Liberator just set to the side. Doesn't seem anything from Time, hasn't. So he has absolutely no idea. Absolutely no idea at all that 3rd base is up for his opponent. So that's maybe a little bit of a shock for him. I mean, his own 3rd base is only now just starting. So Time thinks, hey, I've got the map control. I'm taking my 3rd base in the location. Great. But, yeah, it's not ideal. However, here comes a little bit of a drop. And this could be the drop that sort of sets Time up in this game. A couple of tanks will siege, get into position. This Viking's going to go down. That's pretty important, denying the air control a little bit of his opponent. That's really nice, because now there's not a Viking to kind of actually, first of all, fight that Liberator, but also to push the Medivacs back. So this is really good. Time has a lot of potential now. This stim pack of his opponent might go down. The Reactor in trouble as well, unless Cure decides to push into this very soon. The Liberator going to reposition itself as well in a moment, and so is just, I mean, these tanks are going to pick off that stim, and that's going to give Time a big advantage a little bit later in this game. Cure losing a lot of mining time here. But the Reactor going down as well. This is actually such a big play by Time, and this is definitely going to help him out to kind of make up for the fact that he was a little bit behind a little bit early on here. As we see them tanks going to start fighting. That one tank in the back, does he target fire it down? He does. Lifts up his own tanks after one more shot, as the Cyclone just not quite going to pick off the Medivac there, and the Cyclone from Kirk not quite getting the kill which he wanted. And as we're just going to be seeing another refinery coming down here in the main base. So another refinery coming down over in the main base, and yeah, I mean, we just see kind of a few Vikings still collecting together at the start, at the kind of the front of the base of time. So he's going into some air control of his own, maybe so he can continue to harass with these medevacs and tanks. All said and done, Kira is still 7 workers ahead. So he's still kind of ahead in workers. He's still looking pretty good here in general in the game. But, I mean, again, much later stim pack now for him. And, again, just a little bit less marine production and so on. So there's definitely been advantages which time has taken here in this game so far. I was just going to be seeing the SCVs just repairing up onto the up one of these siege tanks here, which took some damage earlier. And again, we'll probably see time just kind of being aggressive with the Viking control and medevacs and tanks. He has so much potential to just drop off on the low ground here, work his way for a couple of years. Oh, that's painful though. Going to lose a medevac. It's actually really painful because it means he's going to lose. Oh, he actually loses his one of the tanks as well. That's actually really painful. A tank and a medevac go down to that Cyclone. So in the end, Kira's Cyclone does pick up something. Helped him to push this away previously. The only problem still is that Kira's still 9 workers ahead. And, you know, time is not that far behind because he kind of forced a lot of lost mining time and so on for a while. But, yeah, just still not an ideal situation to see a couple of tanks just sieging up here over towards the main base. And we're just going to be seeing this time around, I think, Kieran, a much more kind of defensive setup than he was last time. And so he should have plenty to kind of defend against this. He's going to have a couple of tanks sieging up. He's actually going to fight with his Marines or push forward with the Marines to just keep the tanks back. And we'll just see him trying to continue holding this position. I don't like that push forward from time. He's been a bit too aggressive for my liking. He's going to start stimming reinforcements across the map as well. But that's going to be, I mean, he's out of position for this drop coming in. Kier's still playing this without stim, which is his disadvantage right now, but he's doing great with just the tanks to help him out. As we're going to see time actually pulling a few units back, but they're out of position, so these medevacs will unload, and so the medevacs will be able to start healing 16 Marines. Still no stim though, and that's a big deal. As we're going to see them starting to fight against just a couple of Marines moving forward, as that tank will start firing to defend as well, as there's still a little bit of a push coming in towards the front from time, trying to make something happen. Kira is eventually just going to have to lift and leave here. Loses one of the medevacs, unfortunately, as those Marines come forwards, and they will pick off one of those medevacs just there. As we're going to be seeing these Vikings just continuing to be a little bit of a nuisance. I mean, it is still annoying what time is doing. He's kind of forcing his opponent to kind of come forwards and trade ineffectively, although picking off all of these Vikings is definitely not an ineffective trade. That turns out pretty well in the end there for Kira. And those couple of tanks maybe could have unloaded and got a couple more shots off onto these Marines already. There they go. That's what we need to see. You know, Kira just needs to kind of keep on top of his micro here. Make sure he's always making the most of his opportunities. As that one medevac from earlier still alive here, just to the side of the main base. And reinforcements streaming across the map now from time. But, I mean, what are his advantages? He's equal on upgrades, but he will fall behind as the game goes on. He's actually not started his +1 mech weapons like Kira has. Kira now has stim and combat shields and all those upgrades which he needs, and he's got a drop on the map picking off SCVs. He's already got an SCV lead. This is looking very, very good right now for Kira. Just in general, I think Kira's macro and the fact how early that third CC was really helping him out. He's got a sense tower up here, so he should have a little bit of pre-warning about this incoming drop. But he is out on the map, so he's a little bit out of position. There's their Marines 7-4s. SCV's pulled as well. I love it. Great way to try and minimize the damage he's going to take here. Marines will continue to fight as the medevacs unload. And, I mean, you can just see that this is nowhere near as much getting out of these medevacs from time as he would have liked. And, well, now that makes his defense just so much easier. There's still a drop in time as natural as well, doing more damage. Finally, that's getting cleaned up by time. McHugh with a big stim in towards the third base too, and you know that's why he's having trouble dealing with that drop back in his own main base, because he's got so much army on the map and he is using it here. Time doesn't have the tank count to hold down that position at the front, and we're just going to be seeing these Marines continue to stim up and just continuing to clean on out as these Marines continue to drop down dead. That's going to be GG from Time. Cure takes. Let's go in game then, and let's cast us a little bit more StarCraft. Let me just read a quick one before we do instructions. Apologies, I do still have a little bit of a cough, still a little bit ill, but we're managing, we're doing okay, so apologies if I do just mute sometimes, it's just because I don't want to cough into the microphone for you all if I can avoid it, so that's all it is. So let's kick this off. To the bottom right, it's going to be Time, as he opens up with a gas racks, double gas racks, so very fast gas is coming down, probably going to be a Reaper Hellion opening on King Sejong. I actually love Reaper Hellion on this map. It's a map which a lot of people kind of from Hall at the Swarm are like, well, it's a macro map. But in TvT, it's anything but a macro map. There's a wide ramp up to the natural. There's a lot of different drop locations and elevator locations into the main base. is a pretty fantastic map to be aggressive on, actually, in TvT. So I'd be surprised if we saw Reaper expanded out of Cure here, but that is sort of what it's going towards. He actually opened gas first himself. Only on one gas right now, though, so we'll see when that second gas gets added for Cure here over the next few minutes. Sorry, apologies. As we do just see Factory coming down. It's going to be Reaper from Cure, so it's kind of a gas first Reaper. So what this is basically you still go into fast expansion, but you're going to get your Factory very quickly afterwards. So it's kind of a little bit adapted, so it's not as fast an expansion as usual. It's a little bit slower, but still pretty fast. But the idea is you get the Factory down quickly so that you can defend against the potential aggression you're expecting from your opponent on these more aggressive maps. Guys, can I just ask as well, is are the names on the scoreboard large enough? Because I can put up the names in kind of a bit of a bigger font if you guys need it. Because right now, I know it's they're a little bit small. They look a little bit small for me. So if you let me know if they're too small, I can fix that a little bit. So I'm just going to be seeing this Reaper coming across the map. Just looking at the Chinese casters, just trying to figure out who they're meant to be playing next or so, who they're meant to be casting next and stuff like that. So hopefully you get that figured out. Lib, thank you very much for your donation, buddy. I'll read it out after the game as well. Can we see some STI hearts from Lib? I can't actually see how much it is just now. It's a little bit too small on my expert, but I appreciate it. Thank you very much, and we'll read that out as well during the next quick break after this game. Appreciate it. Thank you, dude. So a couple of Reapers popping up here. We see again, it's kind of both players kind of going up to an expansion. Just Cure's expansion so much faster. The early aggression he had of time, well, it's not really turned into any early aggression at all just yet. He's actually going into a Raven, so kind of interesting for him to open more aggressively. Interesting for him to kind of for him to open more aggressively. It's very interesting that he it's kind of interesting that he kind of opens up with like a Raven, like in a defensive opening, despite the gas first play. So it's a little bit interesting. Hopefully these guys stop talking very soon, and we can actually continue to watch. Because not very much we can cast really when they're just sort of on time's view. It's a little bit awkward. Okay. You told him. You can now resume. Perfect. Alright, so we get back into this, guys, and I mean, basically, if we've been kind of just basically we've been kind of we've basically kind of been so far just seeing kind of both players kind of build a very standard nothing really tanking too crazy at all just yet. I'm just going to be seeing the tank coming down the low ground. Okay, hopefully I'm getting a little bit distracted by all the talking. We don't have the production tab up right now, so hopefully it gets fixed up in a moment or two. Alright, so basically, guys, what they were just saying there is Creator has beaten Seed, and so they were just setting up the next match on stream, so just trying to organize it a little bit, so trying to figure out what's going on. So obviously apologies for that, nothing we can do. And it's the Chinese casters who are doing all of this and whatever else. We see this Viking and Raven. Just having a little bit of a look around, just having a look to see what's going on, what's happening. You can see the third command center coming down as well from Cure, as well to the top side of the map. So third CC coming down, and we also see a third CC actually already on the way for Time, so this time it's going to be Time who actually has that faster 3 CC, but does Cure maybe have a way to maybe be aggressive himself this time? Well, it's actually Time who's out on the map, but he's going to go up against a lot of Vikings here. This Viking count very good. And I mean, there's actually not that much to fight against Vikings. A few Marines, but that's about it. Vikings joining up together, looking to try and trade right now. Looking to try and trade off with these couple of medevacs, the Viking and the Raven. Looking to see if that's a possibility. Actually, Q's third CC is going to be in a little bit of trouble here. He's going to cancel it. Time, big play. Canceling that third CC of his opponent, going to put him in a great position. And now, all he has to really do is sit back a bit. He doesn't really have to go any further. Knowing he's this far ahead on the third base timing, that's all he needs for now. He doesn't need to get any further advantage. It's a mirror matchup. If your opponent is this late on a third base, you're going to be in a very, very good position. As we see These couple of tanks still just sieged up on this natural expansion, and just going to be seeing that third base now coming up in the main base as well. We see a couple of reactors being added on too, and we're just going to be seeing the Viking and the Raven just joining up together as well. So Viking and Raven join up together. We're going to see the 1-1 upgrades for both players are on the way. They're going to be finishing fairly shortly. And yeah, just Marines collecting together under these medevacs, under these Vikings. There is another, I think, a couple of racks coming down or so. Nothing really crazy. I mean, it's just what you would expect. We see, again, players moving into 3 bases. Q is still ahead by 8 workers. He's just, was on the earlier expansion, but again, his work production just seems to be that little bit better than Times, and it's really making the difference here. It actually really reminds me of Bunny versus Soul, which I cast with Nathanius at Home Story Cup, and Nathanius made this big point about how Soul was playing very well in the early game, and he was doing a lot of damage, and he should be getting ahead, but Bunny's SCV production was just so good in comparison to Soul's that Bunny was just able to stay in the games. And it's kind of the same right now. Kira is getting so far ahead in the work count, and even though he's kind of not in a great position, just with a slightly faster natural expansion, it shouldn't give him this kind of 8 to 10 worker lead, which he actually has. As we're going to be seeing the Vikings just continue to come in and just continue to try and trade here with these Vikings in the sky. We're just going to see that armory about to finish up here. 2-2 will be starting soon from Cure. Don't see that armory just yet from Time, so unless it's already finished, he might be a bit delayed on his 2-2 upgrades, which could be painful. Cure going to move his third base in position. He's still 10 workers ahead, so all said and done, despite losing the third, he's actually still being, he's still going to come out in a fairly even scenario. Yes, he'll have missed out on a few mules, and that sort of reflects in the army count right now. But look at the player who's actually taking damage. It is Time taking some damage on his natural expand from those couple of siege tanks. So that's a little bit of a pain, of course. And as we do see, those couple of tanks just flying back up the right-hand side of the map. And we're going to be seeing, again, just somebody just collecting them towards the centre. Just collecting together here, and Time might be deciding to push out here very soon. Has to be cautious. I mean, army supplies are even. If he pushes into a defender's advantage, could be all Cure needs to get the momentum to push across and actually still take this game despite the damage he took earlier on. As we see, Time is actually going to go up the left-hand side. I like that, pushing in towards the natural, but we see Cure also out in the middle of the map. He's going to come in to intercept. He's going to drop the tanks, and he's already sieged with so much. One tank goes down already. Cure's Marine's a little bit behind, but there's a great little jump on the gun there against his opponent. However, now he has to get back in position on his natural, because look at this. These units are coming into the location, and this, well, actually, Cure is just going to go across the map. He's going to initiate a bit of a base trade. Interesting, because what Cure says is, you're not actually in position to kill off my third or anything. You're going for my natural, which will take you a bit longer to break because of the rocks and so on. Whereas I'm actually going to come straight up in towards your natural as we hit a lag spike at a pretty awful time. Cure was about to massacre a whole bunch of SCVs and Marines there with his tanks when they dropped off. We'll see that as we resume. We'll see, yeah, a little bit of a massacre here. Time loses quite a lot. Sorry guys, just that Connection Panda TV just having a little bit of an issue momentarily. And hopefully get right back into this, because it is a bit of an intense mode situation, but I think Q has enough to kind of really do damage here. And again, he's also defending back at home, which is kind of the main kind of, one of the main kind of points of this. He was prepared for the base trade. He felt it was a better situation for him to base trade in, and that definitely looks, looks to be going that way already. As we have just a little bit of a longer pause here than we would like, of course, guys. Apology is not ideal. Again, we just gotta work with what we're given. Okay, we're back. This should skip forward a little bit. Alright, let's try and... God damn it, pandas. It looks as though Q is about 30 supply ahead right now, so it looks as though this is... definitely started to go Q's way. Just unfortunate timing for the pandas, for the stream to start lagging a little bit, unfortunately. So, hopefully we get back into this again momentarily. We'll be good to go. I'll go check the main stream. Let me try pausing my own stream just to try and help it out a little bit. Alright, so we are sort of back in. Oh, we're lagging again. Not really a lot we can do, guys, if it just disconnects. We just gotta, again, work with what we're given. It's kind of my motto of Leifeng Club. I just keep telling myself that, because otherwise I get really upset and annoyed at trying to cast, cast with kind of lag and pandas and all sorts of stuff. Frustrating. Panda TV, please. Alright. Are we back? Don't want to jinx it. Looks as though we're back. I mean, Cure comes out, there's about 40 supply ahead. I mean, it's going to crash again, isn't it? I mean, basically, we saw Kyo just way better prepared for like any sort of base trade scenario, and from that he's taken quite the lead. He killed off a lot of workers of Time. Just because of the positions he was in, you know, Time came up the left side of the map, he never made it through the rocks, he never made it into kind of a base of Kyo, whereas Kyo was positioned to go straight in towards the third base mineral line, he forced SCVs off of the natural mineral line and so on, and stuff like that, so, a little bit awkward as we see, oh my god, Kyo gonna get a huge set of tank shots here as he's just kind of cornering Time into his own side of the map, and Time's just sort of, how does Time find a way out of this? He's only got 4 medevacs. I mean, it's a very tough situation to try and get himself out of. The Marines are closing in, the tanks are closing in. This is one of those situations where you're just kind of, well, you know, there's literally no way out. Maybe the medevacs can get the tanks out of there, that's about it. But so much going down, and actually Time just continues to fall further and further behind in this game. Kyo, with a 50-60 supply lead now, he's also got a bunch of minerals in the bank to spend as well. And we're just going to be seeing, I mean, Kyo just in a commanding lead right now. And again, it all comes off the back of that play we saw before. Just the decision to base trade and the location he was base trading in was very, very kind of well thought out. It was a great move. Very well executed. You might just, you know, I know a lot of people think like, oh, TvT is kind of dumb. You can base trade and counterattack all this stupid nonsense all the time. But that was actually a very well thought out base trade. Like, he really thought, well, I'm forcing my opponent up the left side, so he hits my natural, but I hit his third base and natural, and so I have so much more potential for my base trade. Kyo going for the big drop into the natural of his opponent here to just keep on doing damage. There's only 1 tank in position. There's a few Marines here, actually, so these medevacs are not actually going to do too much as they unload, I believe. Actually, he's cleaned up a little bit Time. There's still tanks left over at the end, and that's going to be the painful part of this. As we see, just a few units of Time across the map, still trying to make something happen, but as this goes on, the Time just continues to drop further and further behind. As we're just going to be seeing a couple of tanks just going to be dropping off towards the upper right, and again, I mean, the natural CC has to be lifted. These tanks are still actually working out here. Finally, we see a few more Marines unloading, and they will be able to start cleaning this up, but again, Time's taken so much damage from this. There's just no way this ends up in a in a better situation. We see a few Marines going to stim up to the top side. There's already a tank working their way against them, and Marines from Kyo are already responding as well. We see the medevacs lifting and leaving, but still, you can just see it in the supplies. I hate to just refer to the supplies all the time, but there's no better way to do it right now, because it is just such a kind of good way to see just how far Time is and how he's just fallen further behind. The army supply, he's 50 supply down. The worker supply is 20 supply down. He doesn't have a 4th base in location. I mean, I know Kyo's only lifted his main base and moved that into location, but as you mine out of that main base in natural, that's mining which Kyo now has, that Time doesn't, as he's also mined out, but hasn't been able to move into location. I was just going to be seeing Kyo. This time, it looks as though he's finally going to get himself across the map. This drop, he'll probably deal with reinforcements, and as he moves across the map here, Time doesn't really have much option other than to just tap out of the game, I don't think. He's just, there's no way, and even Defender's Advantage doesn't save him right now. 1 tank? Well, I mean, there's, 6 tanks here from Kyo. He doesn't even bother lifting all of them into the medevacs. GG, Kyo is going to take the 2-0 here, guys, and he moves on through to play against